Newcastle was long gone. She went to another cruise line for a contract, and I no longer had to look at her pulling people in front of me. Relieved that it was no longer going to happen was an understatement, because whenever either of us would pull someone, we would end up having an argument, then end up in my bed a few days or weeks later, and it would start all over again. It was a party night in the crew bar, and to mix things up, it was decided that it would be a cowboy themed party. Like always, I never turned up in fancy dress, just in my black, as I never had enough time after leaving the theatre to get to the crew bar, and I just wanted to make the bar before it closed for the night. Since the start of the cruise, I kept seeing this new youthie, and to be honest, I wouldn't have minded getting into her a bit. We had the odd conversation in the smoky room, and she did seem interesting as well as being quite hot, so tonight I decided it was time to make my move and see if she was into me as much as I was into her. As the party raged, I had my bag of dreams slung over my shoulder as I was making some serious moves on the packed dance floor. At one point, someone placed a red cowboy hat on my head. This hat became my trademark party hat, for its owner never came back for it, and from that point onwards, I'd always wear it to every party. Anyways, I digress. I was making moves on the dance floor, though my dancing sucked. I was totally shit, but for some reason women always wanted to dance with me, mainly because I was always myself and never trying to be anyone else. Well, who knows. I always enjoyed myself, and I never really gave a shit if someone was to slag me off for my dancing. The youthie who I was interested in began to dance my way, and I was thinking, well, hell fucking yeah. She was dressed up as a proper cowgirl, from her hat to her checkered shirt, down to her Daisy Duke cut down denims and tanned wedges on her feet. From this point onwards, I shall refer to her as Daisy Duke. Daisy Duke was dancing exclusively with me, and it was awesome. You had some of the Indian boys try to cut in, but she wouldn't have any of it. We even had some Europeans trying the cutting in game, but yet again, she wouldn't have any of it. It was just the two of us, and she began to gyrate her hips into mine, then rubbing her ass onto my cock. Then she planted a kiss on me. Result: I was in my element, and it was a get a room time. Mainly because those were the comments people were giving the two of us as we were smooching on the dance floor, while we were being surrounded by people still dancing. Daisy Duke took my hand, and we began to leave the dance floor, through the bar and out. On our way out, I noticed a few of the youths nudging each other and laughing. I kinda wondered what the fuck that was about, but at that particular point in time, I was more interested in getting down to my cabin and getting laid. We're in my cabin, and for not even a minute, when Daisy Duke started to unbutton her shirt, shit, she wasn't wearing a bra, and her jugs were nice and perky. I removed my acquired cowboy hat and placed it on the table, then began to remove my clothes. We're both here, standing stark butt naked, and she came over to me and put my hat back on. "I want you to ride me like a stallion," she said in the worst possible Texan accent, so I did. All was going well during this carnal act until she pulled me out of her before I'd finished. She pushed my head down into her vagina, and then it hit me. The group of youths were laughing at me because of this. Daisy Duke was fit as fuck, but she had a serious hygiene problem. As she forced my face into her parts, I could feel myself begin to gag. The smell was atrocious, as though it could have been one of Saddam Hussein's missing biological weapons. I could take no more, but Daisy Duke continued to force my face into her minge. At this point, all I could think was all those laughing cunts in the crew bar. Why the fuck didn't they warn me? This was not right. Not right at all. I forced my head up from her crotch and made my way back into position. I finished up as soon as I could, and it didn't take long. A few minutes of solid pumping would do the trick, and then it was over. I reached into my fridge for a drink. I had a rummage around without looking and pulled out my can. Any can. I cracked it open and necked it, whatever the fuck it was. By the time the tin was empty, my drink was a tin of Fanta. Well, I guess my sense of taste and smell was fucked from the repugnant taste of serious bad female hygiene. I hope to hell not. I lit up a cigarette. At this point, Daisy Duke had fallen asleep. Great. Now what was I supposed to do? She's going to stink up my bed with that unclean muff. As I was finishing my cigarette, I rubbed my hand on my dick, then I smelt it. A horrible shiver went down my spine, and my whole body twitched like a repulsive spasm. I stubbed my cigarette out and went to the bathroom to take a long hot shower. I was scrubbing my cock until it was sore. I used an entire bottle of shower gel, but the smell of Daisy Duke refused to leave my body, and my poor dick was throbbing as much as it stank. I dried myself off and wondered what the fuck I could do to get rid of this vile, wretched stench. I left the bathroom and noticed that Daisy Duke had gone. Oh well, I wasn't going to go there again, so her departure was the least of my worries. I looked around and saw a bottle of rum. I grabbed it, opened it up and took a mighty swig from the bottle. Then I returned to the shower, tipped half the bottle over my dick and began to rub it in. Bell end went numb and I thought to myself that this was probably for the best. I turned the shower back on and grabbed the shower head. I unhooked it and concentrated the flow of water over my genitals. I looked around and I noticed my hand soap. I squirted a handful and began to rub it into my cock once more. I jet washed the soap from my todger for at least another 10 minutes. I left the shower and dried myself off. The smell was still there, though it was fainter and less pungent than it had been. I was so angry, really angry, but there was nothing else I could do at this time of night. I would have to get up early and visit the medical centre and get the crew doctor to give it a look over. I could just imagine a conversation with the doctor. So why are you here? Well, doctor, last night I fucked a girl and she left a stink on my dick that I can't get rid of. Have I got an STD? This was going to get embarrassing, but it needed to be done. I really didn't want my future progeny to be in jeopardy. I went to get into my bed and all I could smell was the essence of Daisy Duke over my sheets. I ripped them off and the duvet cover too, then pulled the clean sheets from the top bunk. I threw the soiled sheets into the bathroom, then quickly made my bed, set up my alarm, then went to sleep. If there was a moral to this story, it might be bag it up before you use it. But I'm quite an amoral person, so forget about the moral to the story. Just take heed that it took nearly a week for the smell to go and a week of taking antibiotics to play it safe. I never saw Daisy Duke again. She was only contracted for that particular cruise as a youth centre needed casual staff due to the abnormal amount of extra children on for that cruise. I guess there is a slight upside to the story, and that is my legendary cowboy hat made its first appearance.